Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of TEMA Talk, the fast-paced, BS-free zone with smart, fun and educational conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who've all come together to share stories and insights to help you make your business better and to help you succeed. And today's guest doesn't come any better expert or go-to person in their field as our guest today. Nancy Gamble brings together people. She uses her connective superpowers for the good, and as the founder and CEO of Higher Profile, which is a certified women's owned business, this former California girl got her marketing degree from CSU Long Beach when she worked in Los Angeles, then moved on to London, and now she's based in Atlanta. And after a short while of working for other people, and we all know what that means, right? That just doesn't cut it. She used her vision and general badassery, and I know Nancy won't mind me saying that, and it led her to launch Higher Profile in 2003. When she's not matching the country's top creative talent with leading creative and marketing employers, she lives in Alpharetta with her husband and their rescue dachshund mix, Scruffles, whatever that means. Scruffles, you know me and pets and dogs, it's not a match. Nancy, welcome to TEMA Talk.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here, and I hope that I can share some insights that'll help some of your audience prepare for what's ahead and also deal with what their daily life is looking like right now, which is very different than 30 days ago.
Who knew, right? Who knew?
Nobody.
I keep saying what we've just had is the perfect storm. We all knew there was going to be a realignment of the economy. That was expected, but nobody foresee the little head-to-head that we had with Russia and the Saudis, and frankly now resulting in free gas for everybody, as it were. But I don't know about you, but because I'm not going anywhere, I'm getting 3 weeks to the gallon. I've got.
Well, I will add to the irony is that last year at the end of the year is when I decided to buy an electric car. So
right.
I don't even need gas, and it's pennies. So oh well.
Right. Okay. All good. And then of course we put in the coronavirus, and we've just ended up with the perfect storm. Now, the reason that I wanted to get you on the show, more than I love talking to you, it's because of your expertise and your insights. The game has changed. It's completely changed. What employers are going to be looking for when we come out the other side, and what employees are going to be looking for and what's going to be important. So let's start with the employers. You own one of the country's leading agencies for putting creatives together. That's your niche market. What are your clients saying to you? What are your business owner clients saying to you now?
The good news is that they're still talking. They're still talking about the future. They're still looking at their current structure. They are looking for people who are well-versed in many areas. They've got to be top of their game. If you have been and I really do speak to the marketing side of employment, but if there are things that you have always wanted to step up your skills in, things you've always said, oh boy, I'd do that certification if I just had a little time, well, you will have no more excuse. They really do expect people to have taken this time and to improve their skills, filled in the skill gaps, such as Google AdWords certification and other certifications and digital skills. Digital is everything. If you have found your career to just dabble in the digital marketing area, you are going to have a harder time transitioning back into what could be even a more digital world than we even had prior to the COVID. So I would say improving digital skills, being an excellent writer and communicator is so important because messaging, social media, email campaigns are what companies will be doing to get their messaging out, and you've got to be top of your game.
How have your clients coped with the working from home scenario, the shift from office, everybody around the water cooler, the usual thing that we've all known and loved forever, to all of a sudden we've got major corporations, and I know you deal with some of the top companies in the world.
We do a
How
lot
are
of
they coping?
we do a lot of work here with UPS, one of the biggest companies in the world, and they happen to be headquartered in Atlanta and one of our clients. They went through their own growing pains. They have a lot of security. So if you use your own computer and you work there, or if you had to go home, you couldn't use your own computer, excuse me. You had to get, these tokens to dial into VPNs and intranets and all of these things. And a lot of freelancers, their tokens were all cut off, and they had to go through and reestablish that. So a lot of security issues that only IT can really deal with had to be handled very, very quickly. Now, UPS, I think they might have had freelancers out for a day, and that was it, and they were able to solve the problem. But people with highly volatile information that passes through their systems had to take some extra precautions. Now, other companies have really moved into this, I would say, seamlessly. I think that my husband's company, for example, they have all admitted, and even the CEO had to admit it, that we are more productive, and they are enjoying the online experience. They're able to do what they need to do. They've all cut their commutes out. So he feels, my husband has said, I believe that our CEO will be granting more work from home days, more opportunities, more flexibility in that area, because now it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it can be done, and the people appreciate it, and they're actually more productive.
Right. And I think that opens up a whole new can of challenges. I can see, I don't know whether you agree with me, but I can foresee the other side of this, a huge glut of office space coming to the market, because these CEOs are going to be saying, I'm paying what in rent? And the ball kept rolling for the last 3 months, 6 months, however long we're in this, with everybody working from home.
Yeah.
Why don't I cut this office space down to one office, and the rest, everybody else can work from home?
I really do think that once we get all the normal businesses back on track, that will be a lasting effect, is that companies are going to really sit back and look at their spend in mortgage, utilities, and all the rest of the cable and the technology and the phone systems. Desk phones have kind of been fading pretty rapidly anyway. However, we're using our own equipment and we're enjoying it better. We're spending more time with our families, which is going to increase your quality of life and your overall happiness. People are getting out of bed and going straight to work and working from 7 to 8. Then the kiddies get up, they take a little break, they come back. So work is now part of your daily life, instead of work being the sectioned out part where your daily life can't be part of it. And I feel like if people are responsible and they are self-motivated and they are honest and good employees, which you should be hiring anyway, you should have people that you can trust to work from home. And I feel like CEOs are going to see that they have those people in place, and anyone they don't have in place probably was not a good hire in the first place, if you can't trust somebody with a longer leash.
So we've in every sector, whatever we talk about, we always have that 80-20 rule, right? We've got those 20% of those people that are exactly what you described, but sadly 80% are, staying in bed longer, using every excuse they can to take the dogs
I
for
think
work.
It's 80 good, right. 20 slackers.
All right, okay.
Don't work at the DMV when it opens. That's fine.
We'll agree to differ on that one, but we're agreed on the principle. So what do you have to say to those people who are, if you like, struggling a little bit, even unconsciously? They're working from home, but every 5 minutes they're going to go play with the kids, or, I've got to put some more washing on. I need to put another load of washing on, or I'm going to stop and have an extra long coffee. I used to have 15 minutes. Now I have an hour and a half, right?
Right. Well, I think it all is in the results. And I think that a lot of CEOs will be measuring the results and not the daily activities as much, or maybe the daily activities, but not the time in which they're done. So if your job is to register people for online seminars and you get your registrations done by the deadline, then does it matter if you did them between 8:30 and 5:30, or could you do them at midnight when the kids are asleep? I feel like results will become more important, and your time sitting at the desk
Right.
Possibly unproductive time, even though you are doing as you were told. You need to
Right.
be at this desk between 8:30 and 5:30. Personally, I've always been a virtual company,
Right.
and the measurement of whether or not someone is working and if they're part of the 80 or they're part of the Slacker 20 is their results. And if the
Right.
results aren't there, then that's where you need to focus.
Right.
And if people can't handle working from home, and this is not a true test, I'll point out, because people do have their children at home.
Yeah.
Once that distraction, and if that can go back to normal, then you're going to see a spike in productivity once again. Not only will they lose their commute, but the children are, people are having to manage a lot right now. So I hope that CEOs will understand to give a little grace during this period and understand that if they're seeing some struggling now, that could be alleviated in the next phase.
Right. And that's an interesting point as well, because there's going to have to be an adjustment by the management, by the employees, the employers, because I totally agree. It's production and results. It does, like you're quite right. It doesn't matter when you deliver it and how you deliver it, as long as you deliver it in the desired time, in the desired amount.
Yep.
Right. But we've come from a long history of people are sometimes as well measured by the fact that they turn up on time, they're sitting at their desk, they're doing their stuff, because I can see them doing their stuff. So in my head, if you like, old school, things are plodding along. All of a sudden, I can't see them, and I'm having to trust that Nancy is up. Nancy is crunching it out and doing it and being productivity, and I am going to get those results. So they're going to have to change their thinking as well, right?
I actually think their thinking will be the first to change, because the employees, for the most part, those that are fortunate enough to have jobs that can be done from home, not everybody has that opportunity. And I understand that many people will have to go back to a factory, to a public service offer. But for those of us who are pretty much living via screen and phone, the trust and what is measured, it's time for that to evolve. We have lived with the old turn of the century, punch your time card, do your time work mentality that I think has hung around too long. And I think that this, if we look at it as an opportunity, may change the thinking in America.
Right. Do you think the gig economy is going to grow even more? Do you think employers are going to also say to the people, well, rather than just have everybody full-time on the payroll, I know that the first 2 weeks of the month we have this job, so I'm just going to hire you to do this job, and then break it all down like that?
And I know it's hard to tell, but I lived through the other downturn as well, and was managing this company during the financial crisis. And yes, contracting and I don't think we called it that then. We just called it temporaries, being temps.
Nancy, I'm trying to be all hip and trendy here. Come on.
I know. I'm
I gotta be all hip and trendy.
No, that's good. That's the word now. It just wasn't then. And yes, that is how people chose to recover. Now, it did go back to a primary use of W-2 employees. However, during that transition, when people were, putting their toe in the water, so to speak, to get back to normal, they started by the use of contractors, freelancers, consultants, whatever you want to call them, temporaries, gig economists. So that is how they were able to do it. I do know some agencies that have decided to put all of their employees on hourly now, and then their goal is to bring them all back to full-time employees when they, get a lot of either they get their funding from the SBA, which appears to be very hard to get, and then also they get a lot of their accounts back. So I think going into the hourly, and so I think everybody should be prepared and understand that freelancing is a way back in. It's an excellent way to live. You're paid for what you actually do. People need to learn how to quote projects, to look at retainers, to understand what they're worth in an hourly situation, be it W-2, part-time, or 1099, which I think is the way people will want to go. And that removes that co-employment equation for the employer. And a lot of people will come to third-party agencies like ourselves, who then become that middleman in between the employer and the employee. And I think that's probably what we're going to see a lot of when things start to open up.
Right. So we've talked a lot this morning about the way employers are thinking. What's the workforce thinking? How should employees start to change their thought process? What kind of questions are you going to be asking on behalf of your clients, and what are your clients going to be asking them? And what do they need to think about asking the potential employer questions as well?
Well,
what advice have you got for them?
One of the biggest advice that I have for anyone who is laid off, which I think we're speaking to the furloughed and the laid off right now, if you've been able to keep your job and everything's status quo for you, that is excellent. But the first thing that I think you need to do after a layoff is really talk to your family and tell them what this means to them and what this is in an age appropriate way, and really get their buy-in on how you're going to structure your day. Because if you are laid off right now, your day is going to feel and look very different. And children may think that means more playtime when in fact looking for a job is a full-time job. So have that talk with your family. And the next thing I would do is have that talk with yourself. And that is to really evaluate what you want your future to look like. Because if you don't take the time to not only heal from the loss, this is a loss, there's a grieving process to losing a job. It might mean it's a loss of a career. Some people in the travel industry, hospitality industry, it may not recuperate fast enough for you to stay in it right now. Maybe you can go back to it, but it may be that you have to evaluate, what are my skills? Where are my skills best used in an area similar to what I used to do, but maybe not exactly the same. Obviously, you are going to have to keep some really good records. This is a very busy time. You will be spending your weeks applying for jobs, contacting old colleagues, using your professional network, making new networking contacts. You can't just dive in and start throwing darts at anything that moves. You've got to be organized. So I would really advise everybody to create a spreadsheet with weekly tasks, all of the agencies like mine that you've registered with, recruiters that you've talked to, hiring managers you've approached, materials that you've sent, openings that you've applied for, and what date, a list of follow-up tasks that need to be done, and those should be dated. So every day, even if you don't own Salesforce or a database, you at least have a spreadsheet to say, okay, today, it's been a week since I talked to that guy, I've got to follow back.
So it's almost like creating your own CRM package.
Absolutely.
A personal CRM package.
Yeah, and I don't want people to be intimidated by that. It could be a Word document with just, today's activities, but I'd like everybody to really set themselves with daily tasks that will lead to weekly goals. And your goals could be very simple. I'm going to make 5 reach outs to 5 old colleagues, my professional network. I'm going to apply to 5 online jobs, and I'm going to research 10 new companies, and I'm going to record that in my spreadsheet. And then, and then you can create tasks to then further along those. There's many great tools out there, but a good old Excel spreadsheet or a big 3-ring binder, whatever is comfortable for you.
Right.
Don't be intimidated by the process. Just make sure it's recorded so you don't lose track of your time, which is really the only thing in your favor right now is you have time, and to pursue not only what you want in your future, but to keep track and to give yourself some reward for your accomplishments. You're going to feel very alone, and being able to look back at your spreadsheet, saying, you know what, I made 16 points of progress last week. I have to feel good about myself today.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's great advice. We're at 4.5 million unemployed at the moment. That's the official register. Do you agree with me that as fast as that peak has come, once we're the other side of it, it will drop just as fast. But I think that employers will be a lot more selective about the people that they re-engage with.
Yeah, I don't think it'll recover like a pendulum swing and then straight back. I think we're going to have a reset. I think it's going to go up. I don't know that it'll go up to the level it was prior to COVID, because certain industries, can't recover. Like Delta Airlines. I mean, they can't recover with just a flick of a switch and people start flying again. There's lost time and money that can never be recuperated. So I think they're going to have to find their own way back. However, other companies, I think, will be rehiring, and I feel like we talked about, that they'll probably bring on contractors, make sure things are good. The health experts are still talking about there's possibly a resurgence in the fall once it gets cold again. So it may be that during the summer, people are still kind of on edge a little bit about what could still take place. So do they want to go through hiring W-2s right now? I hope so. My hope is that everything's going to come back, and there are some statistics out there that I've been reading that a lot of, at least service agencies, which is I follow the most, say that their business as normal, and 87% aren't making any cuts, or they're not reducing their prices in order to get business. They're just moving right through. So I think there's great hope and great positivity.
Right. So what I'm hearing is if you are part of the 4.5 million that have been laid off, furlough, whatever terminology you want to use, stay positive, act positive, get your act together so you can show potential employers, when we're on the other side of this, how you utilized your time and how you were productive. And
that's key. And I think one of the key questions that you need to be prepared for, is why are you looking for a new job? Obviously, many 4.5 million people will be able to say, well, COVID-19. But if you're not able to go back to the exact type of work that you did before, really think about how you're going to explain to the hiring manager of why you're making a certain pivot, and make sure that you can speak to that and be able to answer some of those trickier questions that will come up. And one of the ways to do that is another exercise, and that's writing your own one-page bio, which I will admit is a daunting task, and probably most people just, they can't even think about spending so much time thinking about themselves. But if you do that and you write a bio like you were a book author or anything else, that will probably help you extract some of those key skills that you have that are unique to you, that you can then use to pivot into another possible career or a new position.
Excellent advice. So we've been a little bit serious, and we've dealt with the heavy task. Let's find out now. Let's lighten the load a little bit, and let's find out a little bit more about Nancy. What's the best piece of business advice you've ever been given, Nancy?
I think the best piece came from the E-Myth, a wonderful book. Now it's called the E-Myth Revisited. And it's for entrepreneurs starting their own business. And you cannot be the manager, the visionary, and the tactician all in the same business. You have to hire out one or two of those. And that was the best advice. And I've never tried to be all three for my business. Hired some really good people.
What words or phrases does Nancy overuse?
Overuse?
Yeah.
Some in the 4-letter category. Oh gosh.
Well, that's all right.
I don't know.
All right.
You guys can tell me who's most annoyed by me.
Look,
what do you think?
They're all on here. I've got to use. Does Nancy want to be in charge, or does she want to be in control?
My husband will probably argue with me on that. I will say in charge, but I do commiserate with people who might have control issues during this time, because there is no other time you feel less in control. And there are small things that I do to feel in control in a very out of control environment. And right. I make a lot of lists. I get very organized. I might go organize the sock drawer so everything's in like color coded. And I kind of feel.
No, I'm shocked, Nancy. I'm shocked.
I will do yours. Oh, you've got color coded. I can see. But just a little act of I feel in control can give you that peace to then go on about your chaotic day.
Tea or coffee?
Oh, coffee.
Favorite cocktail?
Oh, Manhattan, baby.
All right. What's your least favorite business word? You hate it when people use that.
What's the one where I don't know if it's a word.
Or phrase.
Run it up the flagpole and see how it flies. Any of that stuff is just gag worthy.
All right. Well, what's your favorite one though? Come on, you've got a favorite one though.
My favorite business term. No, they're all terrible. Socialize that idea. No, they're all awful. People should just talk like people and not use business terms.
All right. Okay. So if you weren't one of the country's leading recruitment agencies, what other profession would Nancy like to be in? What else would you like to do?
Well, I would either do pet rescue, or I think my first choice though would be I'd be an interior designer.
Really?
Oh yeah. I love like flipping houses and I like coming into chaos and coming out with order and clean and fresh and new. So I love the before and afters. I could spend all day looking at before and afters on houses. So I love that.
Does Nancy have a mantra or a motto?
I would say I went on a diet for 2 weeks and the only thing I lost was 2 weeks.
So what's your favorite social media platform?
I'm still an old school girl with Facebook. I enjoy it, but I have recently got into Instagram and I'm following some very funny people. In fact, one of them is a Brit, Nick Heath Sports. Funniest COVID-19 stuff I've ever seen. He's a sports commentator who has nothing to do, and he's commentating on a snail crossing the road like it was a soccer match, and it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. So
okay, I'll check it out. What was it again? Tell everybody again what
Nick NICKHEATH Sports.
Okay, got it.
Handle on Instagram to Riot.
What does Nancy most value in a friend or a business colleague?
I would say honor, doing what you say you're going to do, follow through, those types of things. That creates trust in me. And if I have to follow up and ask, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? I might as well have done it. And that frustrates me. So I need to know that we are as committed to this process.
We're in it together, right?
We're in it together, which is the motto of our times.
Okay. So last question. If you wished anybody was watching this episode now, king, queen, potentate, dictator, captain of industry, sports personality, whoever it was, that watched it and thought, I've got to give this Nancy a call. I've got to connect with her. Who do you want to watch this? Who do you want to give you a call?
My girl, Amy Grant.
Amy, call her now. Call her now. So if Nancy's going to call you, or anybody's going to call you, Nancy, how do they get hold of you? How do they find Higher Profile?
Higher Profile, we have a website, hire-profile.com. We have a Facebook page, which is Higher Profile without the hyphen. Our business line is 404-806-2285. Right now, we are doing resume reviews for anyone who has been laid off in the marketing industry and would like a 15-minute time slot with one of my recruiting team to polish up the resume. It's quick, no holds barred. We tell you what we think, and we'd be happy if you'd like to email me at nancy@hire-profile.com. I'd be happy to get you set up for an appointment.
Fantastic. That's it, everybody. Another 30 minutes of business banter and badinage has gone. Thanks so much to Nancy. It's been great talking to you. I want to thank the team at Guerrilla Media who twiddle all their knobs and work their magic to make this thing happen. I want to thank you for watching, and don't please forget to visit TEMA's Video Vault of Wisdom at thirdeyemanagement.com, and where you can share and look and view all of the other episodes of TEMA Talk, including this great interview with Nancy. And everybody there will be sharing strategies and tactics on how you can grow your business. So until the next episode and we meet again, I want you to stay safe, I want you to stay in touch, and I want you to stay profitable. And with that, we're out.